You think you are reading these words because you chose to. You believe that right now you are the architect of your own focus, the captain of your own attention. You think you are breathing because your body needs air and your lungs are simply obeying the call of survival. But what if I told you that you are just the last person in the room to find out what your brain has already decided? What if your consciousness is not the driver of the vehicle, but merely a passenger who has been handed a toy steering wheel to keep them entertained while the real work happens in the dark? It is a staggering realization that much of what you call your life is actually a highly curated, edited, and sometimes entirely fabricated version of reality. Take, for instance, the center of your field of vision. Right now your brain is constantly seeing your own nose. It is a large physical object sitting directly in the path of your sight, yet you do not see it. Your brain has decided that this information is redundant, a visual glitch that serves no purpose for your survival. So it simply deletes it from your perception. It crops the image in real time, lying to you so that your vision remains clear. This isn't just a minor trick, it is the fundamental way your mind operates. It acts as a relentless editor, cutting out the boring parts and the distractions so that the you inside your head doesn't get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of the world. As you listen to these words, consider the physical sensations you are currently experiencing. You probably didn't notice the weight of your clothes against your skin a few seconds ago. You weren't thinking about the pressure of the chair beneath you or the way your feet are resting on the floor. These data points were hitting your nervous system the entire time, but your brain was suppressing them. It was protecting your focus by categorizing these sensations as background noise. Only now, because I mentioned them, has your brain allowed that information to breach the fortress of your conscious mind. This sensory filter is working every millisecond of your life, deciding what is worth your limited energy and what should be cast into the void of the subconscious. Before we continue this journey into the hidden corners of your mind, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. This simple act of engagement is one of the few things you might feel you are doing with full intent, but even that is part of a larger web of neurological triggers. Think about the last time you drove home after a long day, or walked a familiar path and awoke at your destination with absolutely no memory of the journey itself. You navigated turns, avoided obstacles, and followed traffic laws, yet your conscious mind was miles away thinking about dinner or a conversation from 3 hours ago. Who was driving while you were gone? This is the autopilot paradox. Your brain is a master of efficiency. Once a task becomes familiar, it strips away the need for your conscious presence. It creates a biological script that it can run in the background, leaving you to wander in your thoughts, while the shadow manager handles the heavy lifting of existence. The scale of this hidden operation is almost impossible to comprehend. Your nervous system is constantly sending 11 million bits of data to your brain every single second. However, your conscious mind, the part of you that is currently processing this story, can only handle about 50 bits per second. That is a massive discrepancy. Where does the rest of that information go? It flows into the deep, dark rooms of your subconscious, where it is processed and acted upon without your permission. This is where the reticular activating system, or RAS, takes over. This bundle of nerves acts as the gatekeeper. It is the silent architect that decides what is important before you even have a thought. If your brain is filtering out 99% of the world, what else are you missing right now? This brings us to a truth that is even more unsettling. Your brain does not actually see the world in real time. Instead, it is a predictive machine. It lives in the dark room, that lightless, soundless void inside your skull, where it never touches a photon of light or hears a vibration of air. All it receives are bursts of electricity. To make sense of this chaos, it doesn't wait for all the data to arrive. It guesses. You are not watching a live broadcast of your life. You are experiencing a high-fidelity simulation based on what your brain expects to happen next. It uses your past experiences to fill in the present. If you walk into a room you know well, your brain doesn't bother processing every detail of the furniture. It simply projects your memory of that room onto your visual cortex. You are literally living in a memory of the present moment. This biological photoshopping is most evident in the way your brain handles its own physical flaws. There is a literal hole in your vision, a blind spot where the optic nerve connects to the retina. In that specific spot, you are completely blind. Yet, as you look around, you see a seamless, unbroken landscape. Your brain looks at the colors and textures surrounding that hole and simply invents imagery to fill the gap. It paints over the void with a calculated lie, and it does this so convincingly that you would never even suspect the vacancy exists without a specific scientific test. It would rather present a complete fabrication than admit to a flaw in the data. But the deception goes deeper than filling in small holes. Your brain is remarkably bad at noticing large-scale changes if they don't fit its current narrative. This is known as change blindness. In famous psychological studies, people have been stopped on the street by a stranger asking for directions, only for that stranger to be swapped out for a completely different person behind a passing obstacle. In a staggering number of cases, the subject continues the conversation without ever realizing they are talking to a different human being. Your brain has labeled the interaction as talking to a stranger, and as long as that broad category remains true, it stops wasting energy on the specific details of the face in front of you. When your brain does make a mistake or act on a hidden impulse, it refuses to admit it. This is the confabulation trap. Your mind is a master of retroactive justification. If you were to pick up a glass of water for a reason your conscious mind doesn't understand, your brain will instantly manufacture a logical story to explain it. I must have been thirsty, you tell yourself, even if the movement was actually triggered by a stray neurological spark. Your internal interpreter is essentially a public relations department. Its job isn't to tell you the truth. Its job is to maintain the illusion that you are a rational, consistent being who is always in total control. This hierarchy of control is most visible in your emotions. Your amygdala, the ancient alarm system of the brain, reacts to fear or attraction milliseconds before your conscious reasoning center even registers a stimulus. By the time you think you are afraid, your heart is already racing and your palms are sweating. You aren't choosing your moods. You are simply the audience member watching a chemical play unfold. The brain's obsession with survival makes it a relentless pattern seeker. It is why you see faces in the clouds or shapes in the dark. Evolution has taught the brain that it is much safer to see a predator that isn't there than to miss one that is. Even your social interactions are under the thumb of this hidden master. When you mirror the posture of a friend, your brain is ensuring social survival without asking your permission. You are a passenger in a machine that never stops. The realization that you are not the primary actor in your own life becomes truly haunting when you examine the precise timing of your choices. In the 1980s, researcher Benjamin Libet discovered something that shook the foundations of neuroscience. Through EEG monitoring, he found that the brain initiates the electrical command to move a limb up to several hundred milliseconds before the person even reports having the conscious urge to move. Modern fMRI studies have pushed this boundary even further, showing that researchers can sometimes predict a person's decision up to 7 full seconds before the person themselves is aware of it. If the chemical signals are firing and the path is set before you even have a thought, who exactly is the I making the decisions? You might feel like the driver of a vehicle, but the reality is more akin to a child in the passenger seat with a plastic toy steering wheel. You are turning your wheel and making engine noises, while the silent shadow manager beneath the floorboards is the one actually navigating the curves of reality. This hidden management extends to every person you interact with. While your conscious mind is busy listening to the words someone is saying, your brain is performing a deep tissue scan of their entire physiology. It is tracking the microscopic dilation of their pupils, the subtle tension in their jaw, and the fleeting micro-expressions that cross their face for less than a 25th of a second. Your brain decides whether to trust or fear someone long before they have even finished saying, hello. By the time your internal interpreter catches up and tells you that you have a good feeling about a new acquaintance, the verdict has already been signed and delivered by your biological security system. You are essentially reading the memo from a meeting that happened without you. Even when you think the day is over and you drift into sleep, the work of the brain only intensifies. While you are lost in the surreal landscapes of your dreams, your brain is essentially performing a factory reset. It is physically flushing out metabolic toxins that have accumulated during your waking hours, but it is also rewriting you. It is simulating threats to prepare you for the next day and deciding which memories to keep and which to discard. Every morning you wake up, you are technically a slightly different version of yourself, your personality subtly recalibrated by a process you have zero control over. This constant recalibration is the result of neuroplasticity, the process of carving physical highways through your grey matter. Every repetitive thought you have and every habit you indulge in is like a truck driving over a soft dirt path. Eventually, that path becomes a paved road, then a multi-lane freeway. These neural pathways make your future reactions mandatory rather than optional. Your brain prefers the path of least resistance, and once it has built a highway for a certain emotion or habit, it will funnel your consciousness down that road whether you want to go there or not. You are the architect of your own prison, one repetitive thought at a time. But perhaps the most profound realization of all is the physical reality of the dark room. Your brain lives in total, absolute darkness. It is encased in a thick, bone-colored vault, floating in a sea of fluid. It has no eyes to see, no ears to hear, and no skin to feel. It has never actually touched the outside world. Everything you perceive, the blue of the sky, the warmth of a loved one's hand, the melody of your favorite song, is nothing more than an electrical hallucination. The brain receives a series of rapid-fire pulses from your nerves and, in the silence of its dark chamber, it constructs a world that doesn't exist in the way you experience it. You are living in a dream, generated by an organ that has never seen the sun. You are a collection of habits, biological urges, and survival protocols wrapped in a story you tell yourself to feel important. You aren't the one thinking your thoughts. You are the one hearing them. Close your eyes for a moment. Try to stop thinking. You can't. Thoughts bubble up from the depths like air from a submerged diver because you are not the one creating them. You are just the audience. If your brain is doing all of this without you noticing, what is it planning for you tomorrow?